For me, what's working the most right now, it's really networking, like with people that I know and letting them know, putting yourself out there. Hey, I'm a coach, just FYI, right? This is the type of work that I do. And so I was able to connect with a few people that have been doing this thing called coaching for the last 20 years, right? And then have a bigger coaching roster. Maybe they don't have the time to take that on.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets, the podcast where we talk with successful career coaches on how they built their success and the hard lessons they learned along the way. My name is Davis Nguyen, and I'm the founder of Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, and even $100,000 weeks. Before Purple Circle, I've grown several 7- and 8-figure career coaching businesses myself, and have been a consultant at 2 career coaching businesses that are doing over $100 million each. Whether you're an established coach or building your practice for the first time, you'll discover the secrets to elevating your coaching business.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Career Coaching Secrets Podcast. I'm your host Regen, and today's guest is Lenny Portorreal, an executive coach, technology program manager, adjunct professor, and passionate advocate for leadership development with a rich background spanning Fortune 500 companies, higher education, and nonprofit leadership. Lenny helps leaders unlock their potential through a powerful blend of strategic communication, creative thinking, and practical tools. Lenny holds certifications including the ICF PCC, PMI, PMP, and Agile PSM and CSPO. And she's a CUP New York City 2024 Fellow. Beyond her coaching work with organizations like Management Leadership for Tomorrow and BetterUp, she also teaches at Colin Powell School, equipping future leaders with the skills to drive meaningful change. And it's a pleasure for me to have her on the podcast today. Welcome to the show, Lenny.
Thank you, Regen. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure for us, Lenny. So I wanted to ask you, how did this all get started? So what inspired you to become a coach and then start your own coaching business?
It's a long story, right? Coaching is a relatively new profession. You know, when you're a little kid and you ask the kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? No one actually says coach. My kids now say coach at some point because they see me doing this work and they see how much I love it. I initially started my career in Wall Street many years ago at one of the number one banks in New York. But actually, before that, I actually wanted to be a psychologist, right? So I feel like I've come full circle. And while I was in Wall Street, I studied economics. And the real reason I studied economics is because I wanted to learn more about the allocation of scarce resources, right? It was more of the helping side, but just the nature of the major just leads you to Wall Street. So while there, I found myself mostly being attracted to the work of not so much the project management work that I was doing in finance and risk, which was very entertaining. And I learned a lot and it was very challenging, but more the extra projects. And those extra projects were volunteering in my employee resource group, helping the people that were also coming up in their careers. It was also volunteering at my alumni association. I graduated from the City College of New York, Colin Powell School. And it was kind of going back and helping those young people get a career in finance and in Wall Street, which is very life-saving, especially for someone who comes from a lower socioeconomic background. I'm an immigrant in the United States trying to make my way in the big city in New York, right? And so I did it, so I wanted to help other people to do that. And so I kept climbing the ladder. And after a while, I noticed that I really enjoyed more that type of work of the helping others piece. So I decided to do a complete career shift and I moved to work for the city of New York, where I worked with the Department of Youth and Community Development, again, workforce development program for young people in New York, after school programs for young people. And I always like to tell people, you collect all of your wisdom and all of the things that you learn and you take that with you throughout your life, right? So I utilize my project management skills to be able to make that very different switch from Wall Street to government. While in government, I studied and got my second master's, the MPA program at NYU. And that's where I found this organization where I'm currently at, Management Leadership for Tomorrow, where I coach young people to help them get jobs in finance. And so that's when I knew the first time that there was this thing such as coaching. I didn't know it was a career. I didn't know it was something that you could study. And as with a lot of jobs, sometimes you just get thrown in, and I was thrown in, and they're like, "Hey, you're a coach now. Here you go. Here's 25 people for you to coach and help them land a job in Wall Street." And me being the type of person that is a learner and that likes education, I then decided to actually educate myself as a coach. And so I joined IPEC, it's the Institute of Professional Excellence in Coaching. It was a 1-year program so that I could become, I call it a real coach now, right? And I learned how to do powerful questioning, how to do deep listening. And I think it really made me serve my fellows, those are the students that I serve, even better, and led me to the discovering that I also like working with adults and their careers, right? So throughout that process, I landed at BetterUp, which is a coaching platform. And there I coach executives in tech firms and big four consulting firms on, their careers, whether it's management, they might be having become a new manager, career transition, becoming a better leader, and also well-being, right? Like I feel like I do a little bit of everything. And so I've been doing now for 3 years, and I feel like I finally have been able to mesh the two sides of my brain, the very analytical and action-driven side, and also the more compassionate and emotional side. And I can help people, I always like to say, live their best lives, right? And so that's what inspired me to do the work that I do. I try to live my best life, and I want other people as well to live their best life.
And when you say BetterUp, this is like, from my knowledge, is like a platform where
Mm-hmm.
you register. Is there, just for my curiosity, is there some communication that has to happen on a regular basis with BetterUp, or you're basically just getting people booking in your calendar that way?
It's one of the biggest coaching platforms, right? They match you with their members, and I work for them as a contractor, not as an employee. Coaches for them, and there is communication. I lead the BetterUp coaching circle, basically, where for New York we get together once a month and upskill and learn about how to become better coaches. So there is some communication back and forth with the team, but it's mostly spent working with your clients directly one on one. And I also have, of course, my own clients.
So BetterUp and your own clients, these are the two ways that people come to you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And when it comes to your own coaching outside of BetterUp, like just throughout these, it's been 3 years you mentioned, right? That is, you've
Yep.
been doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Which part would you say, which part of the coaching journey do you find the most rewarding since you started your business?
I love being a coach because you are entrepreneur, right? And so you are doing a little bit of everything, right? Coaching is not for everyone. So people turn to being a coach because they think, oh my God, I just want to talk to people one on one, and that's all I want to do. And so as an independent coach, that's not all you do, right? You need to put your like business hat on, and you are really a creator, right? So you're creating the programs that you want to teach. You're also constantly learning and upskilling yourself, right? Getting better skills, different certifications as well that you can provide for your clients. And so there's that education piece. There's that marketing piece as well. So you need to constantly be marketing yourself and your services, and sell your services as well, right? That's a big piece. When you're an employee, you think of a business as doing the thing, managing the thing, and then selling the thing, right? If it's like a little triangle. So a lot of people think, I want to become a coach because I want to do the coaching thing, right? But that's not all that you have to do, especially if you're going to be independent. You need to manage yourself as a business and then sell your business, right? And so I love the fact that I get to do that now. I get to move into the three areas of the triangle. I do enjoy working with people one on one, and I love seeing my clients make progress and tell things back to me, right? Like, oh my God, I remember when we first started talking, you told me X or Y or Z, and thank you so much for that, or that made such a big change in my life. I love that aspect of it. But I also love the fact that I get to manage my own time. I get to be creative, and I get to use my own skill sets that I do have as a project manager. Is like I project manage my coaching business, right? As an adjunct professor, then I'm creating my own coaching curriculum, right? And then as someone who likes to work with people and change people's lives, I get to also live that little piece of working one-on-one.
That is awesome. And well, how would you say in percentages is the amount of clients you get from like BetterUp and like doing it independently?
I definitely get more clients with BetterUp at this stage in my career. I know I've been doing this for 3 years, but I consider myself a how do I say this? A new coach, right? I like to coaching school takes you 6 months to a year to finish, right? If you go and get a 4 year degree at a university, it takes you 4 years before you can land that $80,000, $100,000 a year job, right? And so that's kind of how I'm seeing my coaching business right now. I feel like I'm in the beginning of it, and it's going to take me 3 to 4 years where I could say I could finally fully replace all of my income. So right now I do get more on that contractual basis, but I also work, through my marketing and through my networking on getting more individual clients, more one-on-one clients.
Cool. And how like when it comes to your own independent coaching business,
Mhm.
who do you specifically work with? Like, is there a specific industry or a specific demographic that you're typically helping? And how does the transformation look like for them? How do your programs also look like?
Yeah, yeah. I love and hate this question because it's a question that everyone asks you. You need to niche down. What is your niche? And I guess I don't have like a demographic niche. I work with men, I work with women, I work with people of all backgrounds. I coach in Spanish as well, as in English. Work in multiple countries. I coach people in India, in Denmark, in Spain, in Mexico, Colombia, besides the United States, right? It's just wherever people are located, I coach people there, in whatever language. Um, the two languages that I speak, Spanish and English. When it comes to the client that I have, I would generalize it as I serve two types of clients. So first, it's in my main job as at Management Leadership for Tomorrow. I work with young people, sophomores, that are looking to land that first internship and eventual full-time job in Wall Street, right? So I do that type of work, career coaching, and I've had some independent people that come that way as well, right? And that I call more of career coaching. And that's where we focus on the programming is more about telling your story, updating your resume, your LinkedIn, getting really nitty gritty on those things and doing interview prep and making sure that you are ready when those interviews will eventually come and you can land those jobs, right? So that's one group of like, if you think of demographic that I definitely work with a lot and heavily with. On the other side, I think more of like mid-career to leader coaching, like leadership coach. And on that side, I work more with mid-career to senior leader people that are in transition. And transition doesn't necessarily mean that, they are going from one job to another. It could just mean that they are ready to move to that next step. And as I tell my clients all of the time, I work with people that are ready to kind of, imagine you're riding your horse and you're taking the reins of your life, right? And taking the reins of your career. And you're going to be intentional and purposeful and mindful about your every single one of your moves, right? And so the types of transformation that I with my clients, it's really about clarity and focus and purpose, right? And so it could be, I might be working with someone who is a mom and she has no time for herself because she has a very young child at home while also managing a large team at a big tech company. And how does she find time for herself, right? And so it's being purposeful about that. But at the same time, that same person might be asking me, hey, my team is changing this week. I have to let go of somebody new is coming on and I need to be able to better communicate this. So if she didn't have me there as a coach, she would not have been able to then go and be intentional with her team and take the time in advance to figure out what is the exact message that she wants to communicate with the team, right? And so those are the type of questions that I ask her. How do you want to show up? What type of leader do you want to be? What do you want to communicate? How do you want to communicate? What is the best way for you to communicate that? And so we would have those type of questions as well, right? And other leaders might be, well, I'm feeling overwhelmed and overworked, and I feel like I can never let go of work. And so we work through questions too, right? So questions like, what does that mean to you? Why do you do that? Like, how can we make you from, feeling so overwhelmed and so stressed to still doing and performing, right? I'm a get it done type of person. Like, we're still getting our job done. It's not like you're not getting your job done, but being able to mindfully disconnect and know that you have done enough, and like go home and sleep well because you have done enough for today. And how do you've done enough? You know that if you are being intentional and purposeful in setting up your agenda for the day. So those are the type of things that I work with leaders. And the third big topic is a lot of leaders that are transitioning in the sense of like they're becoming a new manager. They don't know how to manage people, or they're starting a new role. And so how do I show up as my best self? How do I create a plan? I love doing a 90-day plan with people, so that they can really have and hit those big wins in those first 90 days so that they can continue to be successful, and so that they can trust themselves that they are doing the right thing. So that's the type of coaching and leaders and transformation that I work with.
Interesting. So it's different in many levels of it.
Mm-hmm.
And where, like for your own business, where do you find your clients, or what marketing channel is best for you right now in terms of you getting the clients for your own independent coaching business?
Yeah. For me, what's working the most right now, it's really networking, like with people that I know, and letting them know, putting yourself out there. Hey, I'm a coach, just FYI, right? This is the type of work that I do. And so I was able to connect with a few people that have been doing this thing called coaching for the last 20 years, right? And then have a bigger coaching roster. Maybe they don't have the time to take that on. So then I get referrals that way. It might work as well working with organizations that need their own niche little management training as well. I was very lucky that when I was doing my MPA, I loved my management class, and I had amazing bosses at the time who kind of let me just run with it, right? So I love doing the team exercises and making sure that the team was motivated to do the work. I'm a big believer that you spend 8 hours of your day, like basically most of your day at work. So you should be happy at work, right? That's kind of, if you would narrow down my pillar, is I'm looking for people to be happy and fulfilled at work, right? That would be my niche. How you do that, where you do that, that might change. But the thing that I do is to help be happy and fulfilled at work. So it's doing small leadership coaching for teams, and then that can lead to individual. And then very randomly, some people might like send me messages on LinkedIn, be like, hey, I need a resume review, or someone recently just found me because they were Googling, what they were looking for in a coach, and my name somehow came up. And that's how I've been getting it.
Cool. So a big part of it is network, and all of that makes sense. It is actually at the start of it, at the starting stages, it is one of the main is that your own referral network work with potentially also refer other people to you. It's also like
Mm-hmm.
a good sign of like that this is working very well
Mm-hmm.
because people are putting trust in other people to you so that they
Yeah.
can refer other people. And I also want to talk about your goals for like the next 1 to 3 years. How does your
Mm-hmm.
coaching business like in the future? Is there something that you're looking forward to?
Well, like I said, I still feel like I'm a newbie coach, even though I do have a lot of experience, but just new in the coaching space. I think my goals for the next 1 to 3 years, and it's something that I'm starting with, is to really grow my coaching to a space where I can just do that, right, for the rest of my life. And I'm starting with kind of creating a space, right? In my coaching, we do a lot of workbooks and exercises and things like that, and I feel like that could be something that could be created in some sort of circle where individuals can come, because one-on-one coaching is very expensive. So it's like, how do I share all that I have learned and make it affordable for people, right? Because unless you're on a platform like BetterUp, you cannot spend $250 every week to meet with me, right? So how can I make that more available to people? So I feel like it's my goal in the next 3 years is to do that, grow that community, be able to share my knowledge. I started a newsletter where I share a lot of the tips and tricks that I work with during my coaching sessions. So grow that newsletter to have a lot more people. And I'm also in the middle of writing a book as well, to encapsulate my coaching philosophy. So be able to share that with people, and eventually that could to even more coaching engagements in the future.
Oh, is the book coming out soon, or is it with the next 1 to 3 years, kind of?
Probably within a year. Within a year, yeah,
Oh,
within a
great.
year.
Awesome. And what about investments? I was doing the introductions. There was a lot of credentials under your name.
Mm.
So, what
Mhm.
have been some investments that you feel like they were very worth it for you?
Well, I know a lot of coaches says you don't need a ICF education to be a coach, but I'm a big proponent of doing things the right way and like learning as much as possible. So investments that I made, number one was my IPEC education. It gives me credibility, and it gives me the knowledge to know that when I present myself to you as a coach, like this is real, this is not a gimmick, right? So that's one big investment that I made. And even a further investment is in getting credentials, right? So there's the coaching education with whatever coaching school you go to. So whatever coaching school you go to, make sure that they're either ICF or EMCC in Europe, they use a lot, or BCE, which is board certified, BCC, board certified coach. That would be like the credentialing piece. That's an investment. And that's a minimal investment. Like you're just paying up a couple $100 to take an exam. But that exam makes you make sure that you're up to date in the code of ethics, right? Because we have a lot of ethics in coaching, making sure that our clients are safe, and that you're up to date on your core competencies. And it involves additional training requirements as well, right? So that's an investment. The other investments that people sometimes are afraid of doing, and that they're like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? Again, coaching is not just you're coaching someone, like you're starting a business. And for a business, there's expenses, right? And so you shouldn't be afraid to invest in some of those expenses. See them as those are, the cost of goods sold. I studied economics, so the cost of what it does for you to be able to sell your coaching business. And truthfully, for coaching is very low lift. It's a website that you need to invest in. It's maybe a coaching platform that I like to use called Paperbell, where you can do your client contract, you can keep your notes, everything's very smooth. The payments go through that. Is investing in Stripe as well, so that I can collect payments. Is investing in Calendly so that people can book me, right? So it's like a little suite of tools, tech tools. And because I'm a tech project manager, these don't scare me. For some people, they're like, oh my God, how do I do? You just do it, right? I'm very good with technology. So I find the tools that I need. And the final investment I'm making is in this community as I'm building as well. So it's probably like 1,500 a year to like maintain the basic.
Mhm.
And truthfully, that's not a lot. The bigger investment was the education piece, but aside from that, that's not a lot for you to be able to provide your services, right? You cannot just expect that you're going to be providing services and it's going to cost you nothing to provide those services.
Yeah, and when it comes to these credentials,
Mm.
one of the things that we found from our research is that when it comes to investments, unfortunately, it was one of the investments when it comes to return on that investment was one of the worst ones, because not that there's anything wrong with it, but it's just like the clients themselves generally did not really
Oh, they clients don't know any better. They don't know any
didn't.
better. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I do it, so
Hmm.
it does definitely give credibility. And I feel like maybe with BetterUp, you might need to have these, right? In order
Yeah.
to work at BetterUp as a contractor, and especially when you're a contractor for companies, even other companies, they will require you to have these. But
Yeah.
individually or independently in your coaching business, these are not necessarily required from your clients.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. It's not so much a client need, it's more like a market
Hmm.
need. And yeah, I agree. Clients don't know any better. They don't know what it is, right? But again, it's more for my own kind of values and for my own ethics that I prefer to be credentialed, because I know that when I say I'm providing something, it is of the highest quality, and that's just kind of like my own need. But yeah, clients, like if you get individual clients, they don't know any better. They're just like, BCC, PCC, what is all of this? ICF, I don't know. I just need a coach. Um, but coaching is a new profession. And if I see it as kind of like psychologists, right? They need to go and pass a state exam to be able to say that they're psychologists, right? And so that's what I see that these credentials do for me. It's like they provide that validity.
Absolutely. So when it comes to challenges, like right now with your business, what is like that? Like, what is one challenge that you're trying to solve for next with your coaching business?
Well, that's, we talked about the triangle, right? Managing, giving the service, and then selling the service. That's the biggest challenge. That's the
Okay.
biggest challenge is you kind of have to become a salesperson, right? So constantly having to spend a lot of time on the piece and attracting people and doing a lot of activities that sometimes may not lead to a reward right in that moment, but you know that in the future that can lead to some future income. And yeah, that's the biggest challenge, truthfully, is getting clients, getting individual clients, getting group clients, even getting onto some of these platforms, like you mentioned with BetterUp. There are other platforms, and they don't want you to just have PCC. They sometimes want you to have an assessment, right? So those are additional investments that you will have to make that I have not made yet, right? Like Hogan assessments and DISC assessments and all of these things. And those are very costly as well. Those are in the thousands of dollars for you to get there. So yeah, I think it's the fact that we just like any other business, you do need to market yourself and get yourself out there and make a pitch and sell your services.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Lenny. It's been great so far. Is there any final advice you'd like to give to other career coaches who are looking to scale their impact?
I would say don't be afraid, right, to put yourself out there and call yourself, like that's one of the first things they do, I think, in two of my training is they start calling yourself a coach, right? Sometimes we're so afraid. So don't be afraid of calling yourself a coach and putting yourself out there and being like, hey, this is what I do. These are the services that I provide. I call myself a newbie coach right now, but I have 15 years of professional experiences. And so a lot of people come to me because they're like, yes, I've seen that you've worked at a Fortune 500 company, and I know that you understand where I come from. So you have to kind of put yourself in that space of like, I have all of this other experience with me that I also carry with me and that is never going to go away. And also, don't be afraid of the technologies and the tools that are out there. There's a lot of tools that can help you, run your business and manage the business. And finally, do think of that triangle, right? You're not just a coach, like you're a business. So you have to think of yourself as a business and think about how you're going to manage the business. So I talk a lot about systems, right? What are the systems that you're creating for your business? Um, the coaching that you're going to do, and then the selling piece. So think about that perfect triangle of like how to really grow. Like if you focus on all those three areas, I think it'd be amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lenny. Thank you for coming to the podcast today. For anyone who wants to find you or connect with you, they can go into your LinkedIn, Lenny Portorreal. They will be able to find your profile. They can also go into your website, lennyportorreal.com, and they'll be able to contact you there as well. Is there any other way that people could reach out to you?
Those are the main ones. Also, I'm on Instagram, Lenny _ Portorreal
Thank you.
as well.
Thanks so much for coming today.
Thank you, Regen. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
That's it for this episode of Career Coaching Secrets. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this episode to catch future episodes. This podcast was brought to you by Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, or even $100,000 weeks, all without burning out and making sure that you're making the impact and having the life that you want. To learn more about our community and how we can help you, visit joinpurplecircle.com.